The medical bay of the Galactic Council station hummed with activity as species from across the galaxy worked side by side. Dr. Zara Chun moved between the beds with practiced efficiency, her human hands steady as she checked on patients from dozens of different worlds. The other medical staff gave her respectful nods, though she noticed how they still kept their distance. 3 years had passed since humanity joined the Galactic Council as the newest member species. 3 years since the galaxy learned that humans came from what they called a death world, a planet so dangerous that most civilized species couldn't survive there for more than a few hours. Earth, with its extreme weather, deadly predators, toxic plants, and crushing gravity, was considered one of the most hostile environments in known space. The revelation had changed everything for humanity. While other species marveled at human resilience and strength, they also feared it. Humans could survive radiation levels that would kill most aliens. They could fight off infections that would devastate entire colonies. Their immune systems were like military fortresses, and their bodies could heal from injuries that would permanently cripple others. But this strength came with a price. The galaxy saw humans as dangerous, unpredictable creatures who might snap at any moment. Trade agreements were carefully worded, diplomatic meetings were held in neutral zones, and most species preferred to keep their interactions with humanity strictly professional. Dr. Chun had felt this isolation every day since arriving at the station. Despite her medical degree from Earth's most prestigious university and her additional training in xenobiology, she was always the outsider. The Etherian doctors whispered among themselves in their musical language when she passed. The Krillian nurses would stiffen whenever she entered their work areas. Even the maintenance staff, usually the friendliest beings on any station, would find excuses to work elsewhere when she appeared. The irony wasn't lost on her. Here she was, trying to heal and help beings from across the galaxy, yet they treated her like a barely contained weapon. Her supervisor, Dr. Veltar, a tall Sindarian with blue-tinged skin and 4 arms, was professional but distant. He assigned her the overnight shifts, the emergency cases no one else wanted to handle, and the patients from the more remote and problematic species. Dr. Chun, Dr. Veltar's voice interrupted her thoughts as she finished updating a patient's chart. We have a situation developing in Bay 7, multiple casualties from a transport accident in the Kepler system. She looked up from her datapad, noting the subtle tension in his posture. How many casualties and what species? 17 survivors, various species. The transport was carrying refugees from the border conflicts near Tau Ceti. They'd been drifting in space for 6 days. Since their ship was damaged, he paused, and she could see the reluctance in his multiple eyes. Dr. Chun, I need you to understand something. These survivors... They've been exposed to severe radiation, their ship's life support has been failing, and they've had no medical care for nearly a week. The other staff don't want to risk exposure, she finished for him, understanding immediately. They're afraid of contamination, disease, or radiation poisoning. Dr. Veltar's 4 hands gestured in what she'd learned was Sindarian discomfort. It's not personal, Dr. Chun. It's simply that humans have proven more resilient to such hazards. Your species' natural resistance to radiation and disease makes you the logical choice for this assignment. The logical choice. Always the logical choice when the job was too dangerous for anyone else. Dr. Chun had heard those words dozens of times since arriving at the station. When there was a chemical spill in the lower levels, humans were the logical choice for cleanup. When aggressive patients needed sedation, humans were the logical choice because they could physically restrain dangerous individuals. When experimental treatments needed testing, humans were volunteered because their hardy constitutions could survive what might kill other species. I understand, Dr. Veltar. I'll prep Bay 7 immediately. She kept her voice neutral, professional. There was no point in arguing or expressing frustration. This was her reality in the galactic community. As she made her way to Bay 7, Dr. Chun passed through the station's main medical hub. The area buzzed with activity as doctors and nurses from various species worked together in perfect harmony. She watched Dr. Ythara, an elegant Zephyrian with crystalline skin, discussing treatment options with Nurse Colvin, a stocky Dorian whose people were known for their mechanical expertise. They laughed together at some shared joke, their easy camaraderie evident. Further down the corridor, she saw a group of young medical students from different worlds studying together. A graceful Aetherian with flowing robes sat beside a compact Rigelian, whose metallic skin gleamed under the station's lights. They shared notes and helped each other with complex, anatomical diagrams of various alien physiologies. The scene highlighted everything Dr. Chun felt she was missing. The casual friendships, the shared experiences, the sense of belonging to something larger than herself. Instead, she walked alone through corridors where conversations quieted when she approached and resumed after she passed. Bay 7 was located in the station's emergency section, an area designed to handle the most severe medical crises. As Dr. Chun entered the prep area, she was surprised to find it completely empty. Usually, emergency cases involve teams of medical professionals, but apparently not when the patients posed potential health risks to non-human staff. She began setting up the necessary equipment herself, moving with the efficiency that came from years of working alone. Radiation scanners, universal medical beds that could adjust to different physiologies, broad-spectrum antibiotics, and emergency surgical equipment all needed to be prepared and tested. The isolation protocols for Bay 7 were extensive. The entire section could be sealed off from the rest of the station, with its own air filtration system and waste disposal. Dr. Chun realized that once she entered with the patients, she would be completely cut off from any assistance. If something went wrong, if she needed additional hands or expertise, there would be no help coming. As she worked, her unit chimed with an incoming message from Dr. Veltar. Dr. Chun, please confirm your readiness status. The rescue shuttle will dock in 15 minutes. Bay 7 is prepared and standing by, she responded. Dr. Veltar, will there be any additional medical staff assigned to this case? The pause before his response told her everything she needed to know. Dr. Chun, the medical board has determined that the risk factors make this unsuitable for multi-species medical teams. You'll have full authority over patient care decisions, and all necessary resources have been allocated to Bay 7. Full authority was the consolation prize they gave her when she had to work alone. She could make any decision, order any treatment, and use any equipment without seeking approval from supervisors or committees. It was a level of medical autonomy that most doctors dreamed of, but it came at the cost of having no colleagues, no second opinions, and no support when facing impossible choices. The docking alert sounded through the bay, followed by the mechanical sounds of the rescue shuttle connecting to the station's emergency port. Dr. Chun took a deep breath and activated the isolation protocols. From this moment until the crisis was resolved, she would be sealed in Bay 7 with whatever horrors awaited her. The airlock cycled, and the first stretcher came through. The patient was barely conscious, a young Aetherian whose normally luminous skin was dim and gray from radiation exposure. Behind the first stretcher came another, and another, until 17 beings lay in her emergency bay. Dr. Chun moved quickly between the beds, performing rapid triage assessments. The radiation exposure was severe, worse than Dr. Veltar had indicated. Several patients showed signs of massive organ failure, their bodies unable to cope with the cellular damage from prolonged exposure to the damaged ship's leaking reactor. A Krillian engineer had suffered severe burns across 60% of his chitinous exterior. A young Zephyrian mother clutched an infant whose crystalline skin was clouded with internal toxicity. 2 elderly Sindarians were in respiratory distress, their multiple hearts struggling to pump blood through radiation-damaged circulatory systems, but it was the human family in the corner that made Dr. Chun pause. A man, woman, and their teenage daughter, all showing signs of radiation sickness, but in far better condition than the alien survivors. The father noticed her looking and managed a weak smile. "Doctor," he said in accented standard, "thank you for helping us." The others, they tried their best, but he gestured weakly toward the alien patients. Dr. Chun understood immediately. During their 6 days adrift, The human family had undoubtedly tried to help their fellow passengers. But without proper medical equipment or supplies, there was little anyone could do except try to keep the others comfortable. "Rest now," she told the family. "I'll take care of everyone." As she began her work, Dr. Chun realized the true scope of what she faced. Several of the patients needed immediate surgery to remove damaged organs and replace them with artificial alternatives. Others required intensive radiation therapy to halt the cellular breakdown in their bodies. At least 3 were in critical condition and needed constant monitoring. 3 weeks after the Bay 7 incident, Dr. Zara Chun found herself in an unexpected position. Instead of being forgotten or pushed back into isolation, she had become something of a celebrity within the medical community. The story of how a single human doctor had saved 17 radiation-poisoned refugees had spread throughout the station and beyond, but fame, she quickly discovered, came with its own complications. Dr. Veltar had called her to his office that morning with news that both excited and worried her. "Dr. Chun, I've received a formal request from the Galactic Medical Council. They want to send a team of observers to study your treatment methodologies." She shifted uncomfortably in the chair designed for Sindarian physiology. "Study my methodologies?" "I followed standard emergency protocols for radiation exposure and multi-trauma scenarios." "Perhaps," Dr. Veltar said, his 4 hands manipulating a holographic display showing her recent case files. "But you accomplished something that our best computer models said was impossible. 17 critical patients, 5 different species, working completely alone for 26 hours straight. The mathematical probability of all 17 surviving was less than 12%. The hologram shifted to show survival statistics from similar cases across the galaxy. Dr. Chun saw immediately what had impressed the medical establishment so much. In every comparable scenario involving multiple species and severe radiation exposure, survival rates never exceeded 30% even with full medical teams. "Dr. Veltar, I appreciate the recognition, but I'm not sure what these observers expect to learn. I made decisions based on each patient's immediate needs and used the available equipment to the best of my ability." "That's precisely what they want to study," he replied. "Human decision-making under extreme pressure appears to follow patterns that our traditional medical education doesn't account for. You made treatment choices that violated established protocols, yet your patients survived." Dr. Chun remembered some of those decisions. When the Krillian engineer had gone into shock, she had used a combination of stimulants that was technically contraindicated for his species. When the Zephyrian infant's crystal matrix began failing, she had applied an experimental regeneration technique that had never been tested on their physiology. Each choice had been made in desperation, using intuition and her understanding of biological systems rather than following strict guidelines. "There's something else," Dr. Veltar continued, his tone becoming more serious. "The survivors from Bay 7 have been quite vocal about their experience. They've submitted formal testimony to the council about their treatment." Dr. Chun felt a chill of worry. Patient complaints could end careers, especially for a human doctor who was already viewed with suspicion. "What kind of testimony?" Instead of answering immediately, Dr. Veltar activated another holographic display. The image showed Kelmor, the Krillian engineer she had operated on, speaking to what appeared to be a formal council hearing. The human doctor, Dr. Chun, worked for over a day without rest. Kelmor's translated words appeared as text below the image. "She performed surgery on my damaged carapace with a precision I have never seen before. But more than that, she spoke to each of us throughout our treatment. She explained what she was doing, why it was necessary, and what we could expect. When I was afraid I might not survive, she stayed beside my bed and told me about her own home, about Earth, and how her people had learned to endure difficult circumstances." The hologram shifted to show Yaravel, the young Etherian whose skin had been gray with radiation poisoning. "In our culture, we believe that healing comes not just from medicine but from the healer's intention and spirit." Dr. Chun's spirit was fierce, protective, She fought for our lives as if we were her own family. This is not something that can be taught in medical school. One by one, the testimonies continued. Each patient spoke not just of Dr. Chun's medical skill, but of her compassion, her refusal to give up, and her willingness to stay with them throughout the most frightening moments of their lives. The final testimony came from the human family who had been among the survivors. The father, Marcus Webb, addressed the council chamber with emotion in his voice. My wife, daughter, and I were the healthiest survivors because our bodies could handle the radiation better than our fellow passengers. Dr. Chun could have focused on treating us first, ensuring the survival of her own species. Instead, she spent most of her time with the alien patients who needed more intensive care. She risked her own health to save beings she had never met before. Dr. Veltar deactivated the hologram and looked at Dr. Chun with what she had learned to recognize as Sindarian respect. Dr. Chun, these testimonies have reached the highest levels of the Galactic Council. There's talk of nominating you for the Healer's Cross, the highest medical honor in the galaxy. The news should have filled her with pride and satisfaction. Instead, Dr. Chun felt a growing sense of unease. Dr. Veltar, may I ask you something directly? He gestured for her to continue. 3 weeks ago, I was assigned to Bay 7 because no one else wanted to risk exposure to radiation and disease. Now, suddenly I'm being praised for skills that I've had all along. What's really changed? Dr. Veltar's 4 hands moved in the complex gesture that indicated deep thought among his people. Dr. Chun, I believe what has changed is not your abilities, but our understanding of what those abilities mean. I don't follow. For 3 years, the medical community has seen human resilience as a useful but dangerous trait. We appreciated that you could handle hazardous situations, but we worried about the implications of such physical and mental toughness. We wondered if humans might be too aggressive, too willing to take risks, too different from the rest of galactic civilization. Dr. Veltar paused, manipulating the holographic display to show images from various medical emergencies across the galaxy. But the Bay 7 incident demonstrated something we hadn't considered. Yes, humans are resilient and capable of surviving extreme conditions. However, you used that resilience not for conquest or dominance, but to protect and heal others. Your strength was directed towards service. The implications of his words began to sink in. Dr. Chun realized that her colleagues hadn't just been afraid of human physical capabilities, but of human intentions. The galaxy was full of species that had used their natural advantages to dominate others. Humans, coming from a death world with such obvious survival advantages, had been viewed as potential conquerors. Dr. Veltar, are you saying that the medical community has changed its opinion about human nature? I'm saying that your actions have provided evidence about human character that we didn't have before. The testimonies from your patients speak not just of your medical skill, but of your compassion, your dedication, and your willingness to sacrifice for the welfare of other species. Over the following days, Dr. Chen began to notice subtle changes in how she was treated on the station. Conversations no longer stopped when she entered rooms. Colleagues began seeking her opinions on difficult cases. Most surprisingly, she was invited to join the weekly medical symposiums where doctors from different species shared knowledge and discussed challenging cases. Her first symposium was both exciting and nerve-wracking. Dr. Chun found herself in a conference room with 12 of the station's most senior medical professionals, representing 8 different species. The topic was emergency treatment protocols for multi-species scenarios. Dr. Cathara, the chief of surgery and a respected Zephyrian physician, presented the first case study. We have a scenario involving a transport accident with passengers from 4 different species. Standard protocol requires separate treatment teams for each species to prevent cross-contamination and ensure proper care. Dr. Chung listened as her colleagues discussed the logistics of coordinating multiple medical teams, the challenges of resource allocation, and the communication difficulties that arose when different species worked together. Under pressure, when the discussion reached a natural pause, Dr. Yuthara? The crystalline-skinned Dr. Chun had often admired from afar, spoke up. Dr. Chun, given your recent experience with multi-species emergency treatment, what are your thoughts on this scenario? All eyes turned to her, and Dr. Chun felt the familiar weight of being the only human in the room. But this time, the attention felt different. Instead of suspicious observation, she sensed genuine curiosity and respect. Well, she began carefully, I think the standard protocol makes sense when you have adequate staffing and time to coordinate multiple teams. But in emergency situations, especially when patients are critical, the coordination delays might cost lives. Dr. Kathara leaned forward with interest. What would you recommend instead? A hybrid approach? Dr. Chun said, warming to the topic. Have species-specific specialists available for consultation, but use a lead physician who can make quick decisions across all patients. The key is having someone who understands enough about different physiologies to prioritize treatment and recognize when specialist intervention is needed. Dr. Norvak, an elderly Dwarian who served as the station's chief of medicine, stroked his metallic beard thoughtfully. That would require the lead physician to have extensive knowledge of xenobiology and the ability to make rapid decisions under extreme pressure. Exactly, Dr. Che. The rescue mission to the Helix Nebula would either cement Dr. Zara Chion's reputation as the galaxy's most capable emergency physician, or serve as the final proof that humans were too reckless to be trusted with important responsibilities. The research vessel Stellar Discovery had been conducting experiments on exotic matter when a containment breach filled their ship with deadly plasma radiation and corrosive gases. Dr. Chun, Commander Torvak, the station's Krillian security chief, briefed her as they prepared for departure. The environment aboard the Discovery is beyond what any other species on this station can survive. The radiation levels would kill most beings within minutes, and the atmospheric contamination would dissolve their respiratory systems. Dr. Chun studied the environmental readings from the damaged ship. The numbers were staggering even by human standards. The radiation was nearly 10 times what she had faced in Bay 7, and the chemical contamination created an atmosphere that would challenge even her species' remarkable adaptability. How many crew members are we looking at? She asked, pulling on the specialized environmental suit that had been modified for human physiology. 43 beings from 12 different species, Commander Torvak replied. The ship's medical officer, Dr. Quelvin, managed to get most of the crew into emergency shelters, but their life support won't last more than 18 hours. Dr. Chun paused in her preparations. 43 patients, 12 species, all trapped in an environment that could kill her despite her human advantages. It was an impossible situation by any reasonable standard. Dr. Chun, a new voice interrupted their briefing. Dr. Veltar entered the preparation area, followed by 6 other medical professionals from the station. We've been discussing this mission, and we believe you shouldn't go alone. She looked at the assembled doctors with surprise. Dr. Yuthara was there, along with Dr. Kathara, Dr. Norvak, and 3 other specialists she recognized from the medical symposium. The environmental conditions will kill any of you within minutes, Dr. Chun pointed out. This isn't like Bay 7 where we could isolate the contamination. You'd be entering a ship filled with deadly radiation and toxic gases. We've been working on that problem, Dr. Yuthara said, gesturing to a set of experimental medical drones floating nearby. These units can be remotely operated and are designed to handle environments that would be lethal to organic beings. We can provide support through the drones while you handle direct patient contact. Dr. Kathara stepped forward, her crystalline features reflecting determination. Dr. Chun, for too long our medical community has asked you to handle the most dangerous cases alone. We want to change that. Even if we can't be physically present, we can still provide expertise and assistance. The offer was unprecedented. Never before had the station's medical staff volunteered to support a mission into an environment they couldn't personally survive. Dr. Chun realized this represented a fundamental shift in how her colleagues viewed both her and the concept of Collaborative medicine. I appreciate the offer, she said carefully. But coordinating with remote drones while treating critical patients in a hostile environment adds layers of complexity that could slow down response times. Dr. Norvik stroked his metallic beard thoughtfully. Dr. Chun, what if we approach this differently? Instead of trying to provide direct assistance, what if we served as your remote diagnostic and advisory team? You could transmit patient data through your suit's medical scanners, and we could provide real-time analysis and treatment recommendations. The proposal had merit. Dr. Chun's greatest challenge in Bay 7 had been making complex medical decisions without consultation or second opinions. Having access to the collective expertise of the station's best doctors could significantly improve patient outcomes. That could work, she admitted. But you'll need to trust my judgment when I have to make rapid decisions that might not align with standard protocols. After Bay 7, I think we've all learned to trust your judgment, Dr. Veltar said with what passed for a smile among his species. The rescue shuttle departed an hour later, with Dr. Chun and enough medical supplies to establish a field hospital aboard the Discovery. As they approached the research vessel, she could see the damage from the containment breach. Sections of the hull were buckled and discolored, and strange energy readings emanated from the ship's interior. Dr. Chun, Dr. Yathara voice came through her suit's communication system as she prepared to board the Discovery. We have the remote diagnostic network active. The medical drones are standing by to enter the ship behind you. Dr. Chun activated her suit's environmental seals and stepped through the airlock into hell. The Discovery's interior was a nightmare of twisted metal, flickering lights, and air that glowed with exotic radiation. Her suit's sensors immediately began screaming warnings about dangerous exposure levels, but her human physiology allowed her to function where others would have died instantly. This is Dr. Chun, she reported through her comm system. I'm aboard the Discovery, beginning search for survivors. The first emergency shelter she found contained 8 crew members from 3 different species. All were showing signs of severe radiation poisoning, but they were alive. As she began moving them to a safer area of the ship, Dr. Chun activated her suit's medical scanners and began transmitting data to her colleagues. Dr. Chun, Dr. Kathara's voice crackled through the interference. We're reading severe cellular damage in the Etherian crew member. Recommend immediate administration of regeneration compounds. Confirmed, Dr. Chun replied, injecting the treatment while moving to the next patient. What about the Regelian engineer? His metallic skin seems to be reacting with something in the atmosphere. The atmospheric contamination includes traces of acid vapor, Dr. Norvak reported. You'll need to neutralize the chemical burns before treating the radiation exposure. Working methodically, Dr. Chun moved through the ship, finding survivors and providing emergency treatment while her remote colleagues analyzed data and provided guidance. The medical drones followed behind her, carrying supplies and establishing communication. Relays that allowed for better coordination with the station, but it was in the ship's main laboratory that Dr. Chun encountered the most challenging case of her career. Dr. Quelvin, the Discovery's chief medical officer, had been trapped at the epicenter of the containment breach. The Zephyrian doctor was barely alive, his crystalline body fractured and clouded from exposure to exotic matter. Dr. Chun, Dr. Quelvin whispered as she knelt beside him. I've been treating the others as best I can, but my own injuries. I don't think there's anything that can be done. Dr. Chun's suit scanners painted a grim picture. Dr. Quelvin's crystal matrix was breaking down at the molecular level, poisoned by exotic particles that were literally rewriting his cellular structure. According to every medical database in the galaxy, his condition was terminal. Dr. Chun, Dr. Yathara's voice came through the comm with barely contained emotion. Our analysis confirms Dr. Quelvin's assessment. The exotic matter contamination is beyond our current medical knowledge. I'm sorry. But Dr. Chun was studying the readings more carefully, comparing them to her growing understanding of how different species responded to extreme conditions. Wait, she said, an idea forming. The exotic matter is rewriting his cellular structure, but what if we could use that process instead of fighting it? I don't understand, Dr. Cathara replied. Dr. Chun was already moving, gathering equipment from the laboratory around her. Zephyrian physiology is based on crystalline matrices that can adapt and reshape themselves. What if instead of trying to reverse the exotic matter contamination, we guide it toward beneficial reorganization? Dr. Chun, Dr. Norvak's voice carried warning, that would be completely experimental. There's no precedent for such a treatment. There's no precedent for any of this, Dr. Chun replied, beginning to prepare a complex mixture of regeneration compounds and crystalline growth factors. But Dr. Quelvin is dying anyway. We have nothing to lose by trying. What followed was the most delicate medical procedure Dr. Chun had ever attempted. Using her understanding of both Zephyrian physiology and the exotic matter that was killing her patient, she began a process that was part treatment and part guided evolution. Instead of trying to remove the exotic particles from Dr. Quelvin's system, she introduced compounds that would encourage his natural crystalline matrix to adapt and incorporate them. It was a procedure that required split-second timing, precise chemical balances, and an intuitive understanding of biological systems that couldn't be found in any textbook. His cellular coherence is stabilizing, Dr. Yathara reported with amazement in her voice. Dr. Chun, whatever you're doing, it's working. Over the next 6 hours, as Dr. Chun coordinated the treatment of 43 patients scattered throughout the Discovery, Dr. Quelvin's condition slowly improved. His crystal matrix began incorporating the exotic matter in a controlled manner, actually strengthening rather than destroying his cellular structure. This is impossible, Dr. Cathara whispered through the cum. You've essentially performed guided evolution in real time. I had excellent consultation, Dr. Chun replied, exhaustion evident in her voice as she administered the last treatment to the final patient. And I had tea,